Smoke Room. We are live on Relevant. We have our guest. He is Delta 9 genetic expert from Puerto Rico. His name is Jan. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Trisha. How are you? This is Jan over here, cannabis expert, genetics expert.
Yeah. I'm really excited to have you on. We are live on Relevant for those of you listening on other platforms. We just got some new updates on Relevant. So definitely join us. Check those. Every user, please update your app so you can enjoy these new features. We have video options now and a few other things. As I'm playing around, I'm not really sure what they all are because we are doing this podcast as soon as the update launched. So yes, I want to welcome you. I told everyone you're from Puerto Rico. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why you fell in love with cannabis or what led you to cannabis?
Yes, of course. Basically, I started with cannabis as a patient. Puerto Rico made cannabis legal July 17th of 2015, and I suffered from seizures, epilepsy. I was trying to find a way to stop the regimen, or at least find treatment for my seizures and epilepsy. And I was prescribed with medical cannabis, and that started my journey to the cannabis world here in Puerto Rico.
Okay, so when you first were diagnosed with epilepsy, what kind of epilepsy is it? Is it like the grand mal seizures, the really bad ones? Are they daydream seizures? Are they, what type of seizures?
Yeah, it started when I was really young. They told that I had really 2 seconds of playing my mom. As I get older, it all of a sudden started, and I had when I was sleeping always. I don't have the feeling of before you get the seizure or something. I just go down.
All right, and how many seizures a day before cannabis would you say you were having?
I could say maybe 3 or 4 a week.
So that's quite a bit. That's like every other day almost, basically, without ever knowing if today's the day or not, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It was haunting me, still haunts me in the back of my ear, but it's under control thanks to cannabis and the prescribed medications I took from my neurologist.
So how did your neurologist feel when you, what decided you to say, hey, cannabis is going to help my seizures? I want to do that. What made you make that decision?
Okay. That's been a controversial thing around the doctors prescribing cannabis. They started dealing with CBD. So I did my own research, and as soon as it became medically legal here in Puerto Rico, I did my own research and saw many people using cannabis, the right strains with the proper dosification, and it quite reduces the frequent episodes of the seizures for anyone getting treated by cannabis.
And in 2015, when you decided about, how old were you when you first were introduced to cannabis?
I was 25 years old.
Okay.
And I started as a patient, obviously, and the dispensaries were right on track. We went through an evaluation and got our recommendations. It's in Puerto Rico, we have 16 debilitating conditions that are, which are, we got by the law 8766 of the Department of Health. Obviously, we've got conditions like cancer, HIV, We've got multiple sclerosis and emphysema, arthritis, and anxiety disorder, migraine, appendicitis, and lesions on the spinal cord.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that actually. I did a little bit of research into the Puerto Rico laws, and I kind of realized they're set up a little bit differently than us. I realized here we have to go to a cannabis doctor and get a prescription, and then we take that prescription and we go and get a cannabis card through the state and apply for our license upon the doctor's referral or prescription per se. And I realized in your country, well, your state per se, or whatever you would call Puerto Rico, even though it's technically part of the United States, I see that you guys run it differently. It says that you guys have to purchase your MMJ card for your home state from your Puerto Rico dispensaries. So your actual dispensaries are the ones who issue the cards and say that you guys would be good candidates for customer?
Yeah, actually, we have specialized doctors, licensed doctors, to do the tell you the requirements. They go through an interview phase and talk to them like what are your conditions.
Right, but is it located in the dispensary itself, like that doctor itself that you would go to, or is it separate? Because I was a little confused on that when I was reading. It looked like you would go to the dispensary and get it, but is it not that way then?
Yeah, basically you go to the dispensary and then you ask for information on getting your medical cannabis card, and then you get evaluated by a doctor, so see if you are available to get the treatment.
But it's all on the spot right there, like A, B, C, Z. So like you come in, you decide since you can't shop without your card, you want your card. They take you to another room, you sit down with the doctor and you talk, then you actually get your prescription on the spot and you can go over and shop?
Basically, it is that way, but you...
That's amazing. It is not like that here. Here, it is completely different, and they called it like a conflict of interest per se. So you go to an actual doctor first, and it's at a completely different location, and you do the consultation, then you get paperwork and you submit to the government, and you got to wait in the mail for a card, then you get the card in the mail, then you can go shop, and you don't actually have a timeline of from the time you apply to the time the card will be in your hand. It could be 2 months, 2 weeks, 6 months. It just depends on how backed up the government is for that particular, for our state, and or that doctor or whatever, but it can take time. It's not like you go in and within an hour or two you'll have marijuana in your hand and the process will be over. And ours also costs money. We have to pay the government fees for as well as the doctor.
Yeah, you're obviously you come with a referral from the doctor. You have to suffer from one of the obviously medical conditions approved by the Department of Health here.
Yeah,
and yeah, we have to pay.
Yeah, it's the same way here, but instead of it being at the dispensary and you get like approved instantly, here that's where the process is just a little different. But yeah, we do the same thing. We have like the same list of medical health that you have to have. So my question to you about your seizures, when you started the cannabis, I'm sorry I got off topic. I was just stuck on that cannabis license thing. But yeah, so when you were first started taking cannabis for your seizures, what did you first notice change to where you said like this is actually working for me? What was your first sign?
Okay, I first started noticing or trying to fit it into my life without skipping any type of medication and just trying to feel a little bit better because the medication was not good for my stomach. But after I woke up from a seizure, I didn't know where I am. I don't know anything. Just got really, really bad headache and nausea at the same time. And then we have the cannabis comes in. There's only vaporized cannabis here, we can't have any combustion. Like if you use a lighter or something like that, it's not.
So you can't make wax or dabs or any of those things, or the THCO or any of that type of products, due to it's like your science formulating, or you can't mix any other ingredients to make a new product.
And we have wax, we have topics and a lot of stuff. The only thing that we can't do is smoke it literally, like put a lighter on it with butane, because you're already like putting something else for the purpose of the cannabis on your bed.
So how would you use your wax if you can't use a lighter to smoke it?
If we can't use a lighter to smoke it, we obviously preheat. There's like nectar collector. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we use those too, but you obviously use a lighter to preheat the nectar collector first. So there's a lighter in the formulation, but it's not actually mixed with it. So you can't mix it. So you can use it to light. Because I was going to ask, how do you light a blunt? I know you said you guys can't smoke blunts there, but a blunt is just tobacco with a marijuana wrap with a marijuana on the inside.
Of course, yeah. Tobacco, and cannabis, it's already it causes harmful. It gets the only way, or the best way, is without any how can I describe this? If we have vaporizers for the flower, we just can't burn it. So we cannot.
You can't consume it and smoke it because of the lighter. So you can't put it in a bowl or a bong.
No. If you use it on a bong or something, you have to basically use kind of like a vaporizer for oil.
Or vapor, okay. I see what you're saying. Or those little wax pens that people use and hit.
Yeah, with cartridges and
okay. So that's different. I just learned something new. I never really understood how that worked over there. So how many years now have you been actively using cannabis as part of your medical regimen?
So it's since 2015 till then, I've been using cannabis to former, and I can say it reduced my seizures to almost more than a 50%. I don't have a seizure in a month. That's it. When we use the right dosification and the bartender, and you get the right information and the right strains with the right CBD percentage as THC, and that's the job of the bartender and you as yourself as patient, and try to look for the best alternative for you as a patient, so you have a better quality of life, because there's over 100 toxins and compounds are released when cannabis is burned. So that's why we don't burn cannabis. We have no we just decarboxylate, if I'm not spelling it.
No, you're saying it right. I understand, comprende what you're saying. So yeah, it's amazing the different rules and regulations across the world as cannabis is becoming legal in so many different places. Everyone kind of has what is the healthiest for their consumers in their domain or their country or their territory. And I definitely think Puerto Rico is different when it comes to the regular United States, because over here we have the whole like hippie stoner vibe going from like that 70s and 60s era where they smoke it and like the whole Scooby-Doo van type of thing. And we've always been firm believers of lighting it with a lighter and smoking it, whether it's in a joint or a blunt or a bong or a bowl. So I guess you would say our cannabis users here are using it in definitely a different form than the way you guys are using it. So I definitely want to see how that turns out long run wise for like people's health in like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years type of thing. I guess that's definitely different. I've consumed it before where you like in the other ways where you put it in one of those vapors and you put the marijuana in and it actually doesn't light it. It just heats it up enough and you can smoke it. And then when you're done, the marijuana is like the color out and all the stuff out of it, but it's still there, but it kind of looks like if you were going to compare it to like old day Reggie's versus nowadays Kush, when it's done, it kind of looks like an old day Reggie. Some regular weed. So I definitely think that it's beneficial both ways, but I want to see long-term wise which one between United States and Puerto Rico who has better health come X amount of time. That'd be some
research say like the vape pricing reduces the ingestions of potentially harmful toxins like ammonia and carcinogen smoke. Well, there is very little research on cannabis vape pricing still. Studies over the years have shown that vape pricing does fewer carcinogenic. I don't know how to pronounce it. Carcinogenic. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I understand that. For those of you who don't know, he's fluently Spanish, so he knows English, but he still has a couple words that he gets, tough on that are those big hard words. So, and I totally get it, because I only know very little Spanish, so I'm opposite. Yes. I definitely think the studies, though, over the years, I'm interested to see and educate a little bit more about the whole vaping process for consuming it that way. What would you say your opinion is on the difference from over here in the United States? I don't know if you're familiar with Texas and their laws and regulations and things, but there's a Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, and some of these are legal based on the different genetic levels. So like this one might be legal to this extent, this one's not legal, this one's over the counter, this one's a CBD. So for you, how would you describe Delta 9, the genetic, different or 10? Like what if you had to compare it to 8 or 10, what makes it different than the both of them or better?
Okay, Delta O, known as Delta 8, the studies of it's still it's evident to the THC component, which is the Delta 9 with the psychedelic or psychoactive. So, which the CBD has no that way. And over here in Puerto Rico, CBD, it's legal for consumption, but it's legally processed or tested at labs or prescription. So if you find some it will definitely do beneficiate. You can benefit from it. If you use it the right way. I would say it definitely helps. Well, here in Puerto Rico, we specialize obviously in the medical use, and we have a great lots of growers and breeders that are trying to go a little bit deeper into the medical side of cannabis because results being really positive.
Okay.
And as we could say, THC levels, it depends on obviously the condition you have or suffer from, so you can have a better quality of life. Then we go back to the tender or the doctor, which gives you the light so you can go and get the prescription. So you go to dispensary, and they can dispense what trying, and it's like a trying and error thing. So you start, at least which I suffer from epilepsy. I started with chilled wine strain. It's a very CBD only, got no THC, and it helped me a lot with headache.
Okay.
In that case, we use our population method. We have vape pens. We have user reboot. We have all kinds of stuff. But we're working and getting more research done so we can apply it to the world and all cannabis community.
I can't wait for that to continue to launch and happen as they continue to understand. I realized that the Puerto Rico governor, I don't know how to fully say his name, it's Alejero. I believe it's like, yeah, he signed an executive order to decriminalize medical marijuana in 23 different states in the District of Columbia during this time as well, and with a long list of diseases that he also wants to be able to use it. He did a 3-month plan with each of these 23 states that it's listed, and he was trying to do something with the Scheduled 1. I don't know if he was removing it or adding it to Schedule 1, but there's a Federal Controlled Substance Act that they're trying to implement over there that the governor of Puerto Rico is trying to, he's trying to get all these things happening. And it seems like he's pro-cannabis over there. So what do you feel, how much longer does he have in office, and what do you feel he'll accomplish?
Okay, definitely we still have the taboo, like, it was legal, it was a controlled substance, it went from Control 1 to Control 2 by the fourth. Cannabis, it legal in Puerto Rico. The certification is recommended by a doctor, and as long as the patient complies with the medical regimen, or it's treatment, palliative treatment. Actually, it's not a cure, but we still don't know because it's an evolving each and every day. We try to do the best we can, learn more, and spread out the best we can for the new patient.
Yes, I also realized that the Puerto Rico governor also tried to help get it lowered for the dispensary cost, is that it's only $20,000 now to get a dispensary over there, with a $5,000 installation fee for the health department tracking system that they use over there to track every gram that you guys are selling, and every gram of pot you guys are growing. They have a system that they use, and it's a $5,000 install fee on top of the $20,000, which is actually way cheaper than what it is here to even launch or open a dispensary. Plus, it looks like in July, Puerto Rico became the second territory to receive approval from the USDA for their hemp program and ownership and licenses of growth, sales, and manufacturing, and receiving wholesale for the economic opportunity. In July, they passed that. So I can't wait to see by this coming July, where that will be at, because I know that it takes 6 or 7 months to get the paperwork in order and the businesses after it launched. So I would assume any day now you should see the hemp farms popping up in the programs, and hemp products in stores way more. And I can definitely see hemp taking a big, because it doesn't look like there's any rules where you can't smoke the hemp. So even though you can't smoke cannabis over there with, a lighter, it's looking like you can smoke hemp right now with a lighter.
Yeah, but obviously taking away, you're putting that factor. It doesn't mean you're not getting the pros of with CBD like substance, but um, we this way. We did from the seed to sale, so we track from to all the way it goes to the consumer. If it's we're talking about obviously from the dispensary, from dispensary out there, other CBD products are not regulated by the health department, so you have that. It's your risk. We put it that way.
Yeah, I was looking. How many are there dispensaries like everywhere out there? Because I don't know how big Puerto Rico I've never been to, but on the map it doesn't look as big. But I know that it's pretty big. It looks like there's only 216 dispensaries right now out there, but they're still climbing. How many dispensaries? Like, are they on every corner out there? How big would that be, or are they still harder to come by?
Puerto Rico legal cannabis industry, it has had a really feedback over here, and we can find a lot of dispensaries available around the island, which with a lot of products. So it has grown really fast. So we could, for example, 35 by 100 miles long. And so if you live in one end of the island, you don't have to go to the other end of the island to find your cannabis. So
right, that's not as big as you would think, because there's already there's like 220 almost dispensaries. So that's like every so many miles there's a dispensary already.
It's quite often you'll see dispensary. You go, you can use the apps, look for them, and you can choose basically whether you want to go to that dispensary and find the best product that fits you, so you feel better and have a better quality of life.
What is the age limit there? I realize to drink you have to be 18, but to consume cannabis, do you have to be 18 as well, or is it 21 there?
Okay. If you are, example, if you need treatment and you have a minor, like 18, let's put it that way, you can get a license, but you have to be with a parent. Let's put it this way, with someone. He can't get it straightforward like that. So basically, we have to be 21 to get into industry. So it's
okay. But it is 21 though there, even though the drinking age is 18, the cannabis legal age is 21, just like here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. I mean, it kind of does suck a little bit in between, but it's good that it's 21, because that's like what it is across the map right now. They're kind of treating it like liquor, the whole 21 ordeal. Out here, you have to be 21, where most people, like in Mexico and Puerto Rico, are, I believe it's 18, and some places are 13 or 14 and up as well. Not in the United States, though, but in like Puerto Rico or Mexico.
Yeah,
as well.
Here, if you're like you suffer from one of the conditions that like mine, like epilepsy, there's a license with a specialized companion. Like if I had a kid, I'll get the license for him, but I'll do everything for him, so he can get.
Like a caregiver, or like a payee, almost like a payee, but instead of a payee, you would be like his supervisor of his medication type of thing, and assist him and help him and go for him.
Totally.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I don't don't really know how it works for us out here with the minor part. I don't know, like, when children or teenagers get prescriptions from a doctor, how that works with the parents, because I've never had somebody out here that I've ran to that had that personal experience. But I am interested to see what United States does for that, because I know that some states do allow children for, like, Charlotte Web for epilepsy. Some states don't. It just depends on each state out here, which is kind of different. So what exactly do you do in Puerto Rico with cannabis? I know that you work at multiple locations and you kind of help people. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what you do that's hands-on with cannabis?
Well, yeah, I actually started as a bud tender when I decided to go into the cannabis world, because I got so intrigued and saw that I had a positive result. So I took my mindset to study how can I help people. So I became part of the cannabis industry. Then I started moving to the grows, different grows, and so all the way that I offer us put this way. We have a couple of grows here, multiple grows, really good grows, and a couple of them, like if they need something specifically fixed or need some crew members, or I'm available for. I'm not.
So random growers would kind of call you and give you a job per se, like, hey, come fix this. I don't know what's going on. I think it's a calcium deficiency or something, or my lights are burning the plants and I'm not sure what I did wrong. Come show me how to fix this. So it sounds like you kind of save people's grow when they're going wrong, or if they need extra help before they go wrong.
Yeah, we or I can do that. I do a proposal. If they need something, they'll call you, or basically, yeah, consulting and just moving forward to fix or try to do anything that helps to help the people happening.
Okay. Are you still there? I think I had a little.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. What would you, well, like, so basically, like, you would say you kind of help people band-aid up, or like a doctor almost for cannabis?
Yeah, there is where I fit in, and the research and the because there's a point that you can go so far. So we try to read or find specific structure to get the most out of obviously the controlled substance. So we do a crossbreeding. So that unique strain takes both patience and persistence. The process requires that male plant on the near to maturity, so that it will produce the pollen.
Yep, and then you would take that pollen and put it with the female one. Then you gotta wait. Then you gotta take the new one and take it, and then create the new genetics, and then see what it would produce or yield or harvest. And yeah, I'm very familiar with all ends of cannabis. And even how you would make your own genetics, how you would cross breed two different plants, and how you would take the male, how you would cross pollinate with the female to produce a new genetic or continue strengthening a genetic. There's so many ways with cannabis, with the genetics, that you could do to just to help your cannabis with a better foundation. I'm totally into genetics, even human genetics, plants genetics, all genetics.
yeah, that's not the whole idea, because I see endless possibilities, like I was saying, like cross pollination, when you take the pollen for the female plant between the second and fourth root of the. Some of the seeds are collected from the female plant, must be then grown to maturity and carefully selected for their most desirable traits, indicated of types. This could be.
Have you started studying any genetically modifying any of the plants at this point for your new breeds, or are you just cross-breeding at this point?
We're cross-breeding at this point, but great breeders in Puerto Rico. We have good strains still. So we keep on going to find the best possible way to fit cannabis into health community, emphasizing obviously medical cannabis treatment.
Definitely. So would you say the island's medical health since 2015 till now has took a positive change since introducing cannabis?
Definitely it had taken it positive.
What about the economic factor? Has it brought in more revenue to the island to continue generational wealth?
Yeah, it has. It has brought a lot of companies too here from to obviously with all the medical treatment and department of program. So yeah, it does help the island with every problem and does bring.
So have you noticed an economic change in the island from before 2015 until now type of thing? Like where just the regular economy change, like people are spending more money, people are working, there's more job opportunity, there's more new businesses popping up with new business owners, stuff like that. Have you realized a big change in from the last 7 years?
Definitely. Many people stop drinking too.
Let's talk about that. How many of them before 2015, like how many islanders would you say, like, half or 30% or, were regular drinkers?
At least I stopped drinking. Obviously, I suffer from a condition, but we could say 25% of the people that usually used to drink, daily drink or alcoholic, substitute alcohol for cannabis, then get a type of healthier way of life. Eventually, they get off so they can continue their life without alcohol can get you off.
So it sounds like they were using their alcohol to mask their pain or medical issues, and cannabis replaced it. So there really wasn't a need for the alcohol if the cannabis was doing its job.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to. That there's a lot of medications that are not healthy for people that like chronic pains, opiates. There's a lot of cannabis.
How is the pharmaceutical company over there? Have they agreed or co-signed the cannabis or any form of use, or have they accepted prescriptions for cannabis yet? Or have you noticed a decline in the cannabis or in the prescription usage? And is the pharmaceutical company mad about it? Or are they happy about the cannabis there? How are they responding to the economic change?
They actually do support. Getting enough support because it's all about health. So we could say it's some life changing.
Wait, I want to pause you for a minute. You said it's all about health over here. Say that one more time for me, real clear, because our pharmaceutical company pretends to be about health, but anything that's pro-health, they hinder. So it's not like that there, what you're describing.
We are, if we can find something better, we will promote it. So
has your pharmaceutical company allowed cannabis to be prescribed and covered under insurance yet?
No, but we are studying a lot, so we can relate it to insurance like cannabis directly. So
I want to stay up to date on that. The moment that the pharmaceutical company in any, I don't care, worldwide, in any country, is accepting prescriptions for medical cannabis, I want to follow that. I want to follow the journey so then we can figure out how here, where I live in United States, Michigan, where we can replicate that and make sure that our pharmaceutical company here can start to do the same thing. And whatever act or laws or whatever you guys are able to implement in Puerto Rico, it's the same federal government that we have. So I would still like to try to get those act and laws, replicate them for here, maybe across the map. If we could get the pharmaceutical company to be like they are in Puerto Rico and be on board here and agree and be pro patient health and make sure that what's best for the patient and what's healthier for the patient is a primary concern, that would change our economic factor, our insurance levels, the patient's financial issue for being able to afford or not afford medication. So many dispensaries could benefit from being able to donate products to these, to prescription patients. There's a lot of work involved with making it happen, but I literally have been rooting for that the day that it happens, and I want to be part of that journey and help document that, because that is really the ultimate goal. And once the pharmaceutical company signs on in one location, and they might use this as a test trial, and if it works good in Puerto Rico, then we'll, for the islands, then we'll try it on the mainland or whatever, and maybe they will come to United States and try that the rest of the way on, for the States. But, I would love our pharmaceutical company. What are you guys doing to whose butt are you guys kidding? I don't know, how are you getting them to agree? There's no, over here, we don't even see how it's possible yet. Give us a clue on what you guys did to get there, other than this act and stuff. How did you guys get them to support the decisions and consider even doing a program where they would fulfill prescriptions?
Yeah. So the feedback once again has been really positive from the patients too, and they see and they take under consideration that the benefits from cannabis, and obviously companies, medical companies, insurance companies can put a little piece of help that we are going to find the best way to promote the insurance. Let's put it that way. It's still on diapers, but it's definitely being taken an eye on. So it's something.
Well, being in diapers is the first stage to anything. It's setting the foundation, and the foundation that you guys will lay will be the foundation for others as well. So I'm really excited to follow that journey as it goes and to see what how that will work for you. And I really feel like the cannabis community and the pharmaceutical company, if they teamed up, would be a beast. But I also feel like teaming up to a percentage, because let's break that down for a moment. Yes, I'm for it, but I'm also in fear, because would they take away the homegrown people? Would they take away, this option? I feel like I only want them involved to an extent, but not the whole takeover, because we are recreational legal. So pharmaceutical legal, recreational legal, and medical card legal, I definitely think they need to separate the three entities and not merge to one, because if the pharmaceutical company took over the game, it would be way too hard for we would be forced into a monopoly, and I wouldn't like monopoly. At that point, it's the same issue with the gas, with the monopoly, what we're dealing with now. They control the prices. We could wake up one day, it's $3 a bag, and the next day it's $5 a bag, the gas. It just was $3 last week, and it's $5 this week. So I don't want monopoly. I do like the fact that we have recreational control, we have medical control, but I would like to give the pharmaceutical companies some type of level, because most of the patients that are truly sick are on low income, on a disability check, that can't afford an ounce or two a month to consume the amount that they need for their cancer or for their liver disease or kidney disease or epilepsy, or so for the people that don't have funding to get their hands on the medication, I definitely feel like the pharmaceutical company would be able to obviously obtain a check through insurance. So it's a win-win. Someone's going to get the money for the marijuana, and a patient will get help, and the patient won't be the one to pay. So looking for those who are truly sick to a different level, not a medical card level, but like a cancer level or a kidney disease level, like a serious disease that involves hardcore treatment. I feel like marijuana should be free for those, because between the hours it takes to sit and do chemo or dialysis or treatments or doctor visits, how am I supposed to work, pay my bills, take care of my kids, and provide for my new medication that isn't covered? And obviously I'm low income, that's why I'm getting free insurance through the government. So if I'm getting free insurance, obviously we've agreed that I can't afford my own prescriptions. That's why you've offered to take over that debt, and I can't afford my own doctor fees. That's why you've offered to pay for those. So what makes you think I can pay for my own cannabis?
So
I can't.
Right now we're limited to medical. You see, like no insurance still. But in my opinion, it's like you say, if we need to do it, we need to enforce it and spread the word, or making better proposals for the Department of Health, and so they could do research, so we could ensure what we're offering them, so they can provide something else, insurance cover for people that can't afford get their cannabis from dispensary or pay for it. But for the moment, we still work on it. Still
Okay. So at this point, what would you say is your overall goal in the cannabis community next? I know you have several different things that are coming up. I don't know how much is private or public, or if you could, share some with us. What could we expect to see from you over the next couple months, or like 90 days? Do you have anything launching or anything that you are in the middle of working on that you're hoping will come to play?
Yeah, actually, yes. Myself, I'm going to emphasize on breathing and taking it a little bit deeper into as controlling the strains, so we can find better and keep getting closer to those people that at least myself, the world loves the foundation of what is the ignorance about, like many people still have that taboo of is it gonna help me, or I'm trying to make it even more, that people be more aware of cannabis here in Puerto Rico still. So I actually searched on it, and I actually I have future plans for doing everything related to research and developing and crossbreeding different strains. Especially, I as a Rafael Diamond would like to have a seed bank of some sort and spread the word, so even our states and get advice to bring over to Puerto Rico. So I am trying to spread the word and take advice and give advice and just try to do the best in the cannabis community, medical cannabis community.
Definitely. So at this point, where would people find you? I know you run a couple different groups and you're involved in several different projects, but if someone was looking to follow your journey and keep up with you and what you've got going on, where would that be?
You can find me on different platforms such as Facebook or Instagram as Rafael Diamond Creations. It's spelled RFEL. That's my second name, and Delta 9 Cannabis Expert with is just where I try to put a lot of information, like knowledge, so let people know.
When I first came across that page, just so you guys know, his expertise on the genetics, he's often sharing everyday different educational things, and it varies from like the CBD1 receptors, the CBD2 receptors, to THC stuff, to how the cannabinoids work, to the plant itself, to awesome photos of him with harvests and grows, and while he's working on different grows, he documents different things. So definitely that is definitely the group for those of you who are trying to get educated on cannabis more, and what it would do for you and how to properly use it, or what you're looking for to know it, so whether it's good stuff or not good stuff. He's definitely the man to go to.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Tell them about the group though, because I really love your educational section there. It's definitely a good attraction.
Yeah, I try to post and people that spread the knowledge as like what are cannabinoids, specifically each type of things that will make people aware or take that doubt about cannabis, or are not sad. People don't know or things aren't aware of. For example, maybe vaping thing, it's quite popular right now. But here we can smoke it. Over there, with other places you can smoke it, but it doesn't mean you won't get a result from it. But I
believe any way you consume cannabis, any way you consume it, whether it's eating it, smoking it, vaping it, whether it's lotion, chapsticks, pills, capsules, tinctures, there's butter. There's so many ways to consume it that no matter how you consume it, all true stoners know that you're going to have an effect. It doesn't necessarily, whether you consume it in your lungs or not your lungs, doesn't actually mean that you will or won't have an effect, because you're going to have an effect no matter how you consume it. So, and you guys are still consuming it in your lungs, you're just not using a lighter to burn it. When you vape it, there's heat underneath it, and you create smoke, and you're actually smoking. And when you vape it with the actual oils, there's heat underneath it, and you are smoking it, but you're not smoking it with the same form where there's actual nothing left, where like we have a roach here when we smoke a joint or a blunt, where you actually still have the full bud left, but the bud is dry now and like dust, because you've literally consumed all of the positive factors out of it and smoked it, and that's what you're smoking, not the actual bud, the plant itself, just the positiveness that it gives.
Yeah, so we could pause with this versus vape pricing, or try to avoid the irritation and not try to or add something that may and he gets the wrong idea and does it wrong. In that case, consumes it in a legal way, or just not taking the right dosage treatment as he needs. So that's where I try to emphasize too on the reading on different strains that could be either a combination between both and will likely produce variants of results until it is being backcross stabilized and the strains. So this is done by selecting strains with the most probable characteristics. Then backcross back itself as a plan until the results or phenotypes become consistent. As long as consistency, we can research and getting better and better and try to offer more information.
Yeah. So I got a question about your breeding method. So when you're breeding, are you just breeding like indica with indica, or are you doing mixing indica and sativa together to create a hybrid? Or are you a firm believer in keeping the original, without any, because I know when you do a lot of hybrids, sometimes you run into mutations. Are you just a straight indica or sativa, or do you like to grow the hybrid?
We do everything. We have this kind of cannabis with it's a low on the species of cannabis which native Central Eastern Europe found. Many scholars accept cannabis ruderalis as its own species due to its unique traits and phenotypes, which is distinguished from indica and sativa. However, it's widely debated as to whether or not ruderalis is a subspecies of cannabis sativa. So we do a lot of crossing with indica with sativa and get hybrids with sativa dominant. We could get.
And you have run into no genetic mutations along the way when you're constantly cloning the hybrids or re-replicating?
Yeah, we see a lot of mutation like field taxi. Actually, that's called where you get that's why we backcross it again, so we can see that consistency and get rid of everything we don't need. Or we don't want.
Okay, so for sure. So then you cross back breed to defect the mutation gene out. So it's almost like you're genetically modifying, but you're doing it based on when you would crossbreed, what stage. So before the mutation happens, you would do the breeding.
Yeah, that's why the strain the creating the unique cannabis strain takes both patience and persistence of the process. It's quite long, but it's worthy.
There's a lot of science to it too, more science than a tomato garden like people often refer. A tomato garden I've done, and it's pretty simple. You add some water, add some random fertilizer. If fertilizer is not even needed half the time. But tomatoes are simple. Marijuana is nothing like tomatoes for sure. Even when it comes to like the breeding and the cloning and the genetics and the phenotypes and the testing and the cannabinoids and looking at the ambers and and making sure that they're the right colors and all the trichomes. It's definitely a lot of science for those who are considering growing. I definitely recommend educating yourself first and starting off very small. So as you ruin your first couple grows, it's not costly until you're able to critique the perfection of growing. Then you should expand your grow. But don't hop in the game thinking, I can do like 20 plants and that's going to be nothing. Until you really know it, because all 20 are going to act completely different and each one's going to need their own regimen. So the more plants that you're growing, the more that you need hands-on. And like what you do, you call, if you have 1,000 plants or 500 plants or 5,000 plants like dispensaries do, you can't literally take the time to run and manage the company and business and the whole grow on your own. There are times you have to call people in to maintain the plants because each plant has a mind and a heart of its own and will do exactly what it wants, or they have different deficiencies. They can be standing side by side under the same light, under the same temperature, for the same amount of hours, and both of them turn out completely different. And they're from the exact same seed.
Exactly. That's when the back crossing comes again. So the parent plant until the result of the phenotype becomes consistent, then yeah. But if we got a grow room with different strains, we try to the closest genetics for strain, so we could have the best or the most out of each one.
Definitely, you want to maximize the potential of the harvest and the yield of it. You want to make sure that the weight is there. You want to make sure that the bud is there, but you also want to make sure that the THC level is high and the content is high, and that it's crystally full of beautiful, stickiness. You want it to be, all of the fabulous checkpoints. You also, it's not always sometimes as worried about how tall they are, but more about how wide they are, because the more tops you have and the wider the plant, the bigger the harvest will be. You sometimes growing straight up and tall, you got a couple big buds at the top, but you got a lot of small buds, and you end up with a half a pound of small buds instead of 2 or 3 pounds, versus had you grew it out wider versus taller.
Then that's where the hands of a grower goes in. Everyone has different methods and sort of monster cropping, fruit cropping. So many people they just try their methods in the ring of what we can do to better or maximize the production, and obviously fit in with the Department of Health. And everything is developing constantly here.
It is. How is edible over there? I see that it's completely legal, but I know that you also said before you're not allowed to mix and make your own type of things. So how does that work with the edibles? Are there rules and laws to what you can and can't make your edibles with?
You actually here they sell edibles with the dispensaries. When perhaps about your and you made it yourself, that's on your own. That's not on the legal, because we don't know what you're doing. It haven't been researched yet. We know what we're giving, but if you do something else, then that
right, and that's the same thing here. Like, if somebody goes and buys marijuana at the dispensary, they go home and they decide to make that marijuana and make edible cookies, that is obviously on their own. But if they were to buy edibles, we can also buy edibles at our dispensary. We can go in and buy, Kool-Aid. We can buy candies. We can buy, brownies, cupcakes, ho-hos, cereal, coffee, Kool-Aid, dipsticks, honey sticks, all kinds of crap. From lotions, soap, shampoos. There's all kinds of products, but as far as consuming them for you guys, what is the level of, what I was asking, are they in the dispensaries? Are they tested? Are they approved by your government? How does that work?
Yeah, everything that goes into dispensary needs to be approved by the Department of Health.
But they are in the dispensary, is my main question. They are in the dispensary itself? Okay, I was just trying to understand if they were in them or not, because I was looking into the laws and it says they were legal, but it didn't actually give the rules like it did for the rest of your laws. It just kind of made it almost as if tourists could have them. If you got caught with an edible, there wouldn't be a charge type of thing. But if there was a lot of them, then you would be charged type of thing. Visitors and tourists, we can't smoke a blunt there, like you said, but it looks like without our license we could consume an edible.
No, basically no, because you're not a patient, so it's.
You have to have your card there. You can't use if I have my license right now and I'm traveling there, I can't utilize my license even normally you wouldn't be able to from state to state, but because you guys are an island that accept travelers, how does it work for the travelers? Because obviously if I was coming there to visit, let's say for 2 weeks or a week, I'm gonna need my medication, and I don't want to go all the way out and get a card while I'm here just for the week. How does that work for the tourist?
Yeah, Yeah, that's an interesting topic right now because we have a lot of tourism here. We thrive on tourism. Like it's one of our main incomes for the island. And
Did it? But it's also not attractive to find out that I can't get my medication. So I think it would be a deal breaker for my travels because no one's going to agree to travel somewhere where they can't consume their marijuana, but it's also legal there.
Exactly. There's still those
So what would you say at this point is there anything you guys would intend on doing to try to change that, or anything you feel like you could help pull together to, fight that fight perhaps? Because if it's a number one, before cannabis became there, what kept the island thriving is the tourist to a big percent. And so now you've added cannabis, which will bring more people, but it would bring more cannabis people, which wouldn't be able to consume that cannabis. So it's kind of like bringing me to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory's house, but telling me I can't have no candy.
Frustrating because we support and make it available for all the patients, but it's obviously not recreational here. But
no, it's not. I looked into it. It's so beautiful there. I would absolutely love to come there. But I'm not going anywhere I can't take my marijuana with me, I'll be honest. So for me personally, before I make traveling arrangements, I make sure that A, I can buy my marijuana there, or B, I got to bring it with me, but can I consume it if I can't buy it? And C, if I bring it with me, can I keep it? Like, am I allowed to travel with a set amount? So I would learn the guidelines first. But the guidelines there seem as if they're against the tourist participating in any marijuana factor at all. And I definitely think that that's a deal breaker when most of the other islands around you and in the surrounding areas that are legal, at this point, I would rather go to Florida then, or I'd rather go to California, or I'd rather go, like, there's so many other places to go, or, I don't know about Jamaica's laws or things, so I didn't want to start random out other islands, but I'm sure other islands are allowing cannabis to be used by tourists somehow or another, or maybe, well, here in Michigan, we have, before it became legal, fully legal to where it is now, we had a couple areas, and actually we have a hash bash coming up here in Michigan in Ann Arbor, and every year before it was legal, that hash bash took place, and the whole area and the grounds, we were allowed to consume marijuana. We had a safe territory, but if you left that area and got caught with possession of marijuana, you would be charged to the fullest legal extent. Before it became legal in any form, we had these hash bashes, and this Pacific zone could. Then we have concerts, and every, there's 3 or 4 artists that they actually pay to where you're allowed to consume marijuana at the concert. So Wiz Khalifa, he will not perform unless you can consume marijuana. Burner, when he comes to town, he's the founder of Cookies, he performs his music because he, his raps and stuff. He makes sure that he pays an extra fee to where we can smoke as well in the event. So we have safe zones for attractive events, as you would say, or cannabis events. Is that something you guys participate there with, perhaps? Is there any safe zone for the tourists, maybe while they're in a tourist zone, or is there any way to vote that in? Because if you were to be able to get it legal in certain tourist zones, in just the zone for tourists only, so if you have a Puerto Rico license and ID, obviously, even though you're in the tourist area, you wouldn't classify you need to go through the regular process because you live here. But those who don't live here, who are truly traveling, there's got to be a safe zone for this. If not, it needs to get developed. And between that and the pharmaceutical company, you guys are ahead of the game if you definitely get those 2 accomplished. You guys would be more advanced than United States specifically, and that would help you guys long-term wise, and it would generate so much more revenue because travelers would want to come knowing that we can consume.
Yeah, it's the industry so young that's one of the areas we're trying to enforce or embrace, so we can have our avoid any in different areas. For example, I as a patient can't consume my cannabis if it's not in a safe zone, perhaps, or my house. I cannot drive under the influence of my cannabis, or it's quite tight margin, but it's being worked on, so we don't.
A lot like that we're working on as well with the no driving under cannabis. We have that as well, but we also have the right to waive a drug test and just get a ticket that's $100 fine versus blowing or drug testing and being dirty. And then they take you to jail for 24 hours until you're clean. They treat it the same way that they do liquor. They put you in a detain cell or charge you with driving under the influence. And then they tow your car and put it in the impound. So if you decline them, you get the ticket. It's a $100 ticket for declining, and you don't gotta do the whole impound thing or go to jail or any of that other stuff. You just decline the right for the drug test, and as long as you pass the sorority, the sorority, however you say that word, that stupid test they give you where you gotta walk and say your ABCs and touch your nose and do all that dumb stuff to show that you're sober. As long as you pass that, you're good to go. If you fail that and you're obviously under the influence of more than marijuana, because people on marijuana alone don't normally fail that test. They're pretty well alert and ready to laugh at the officer. So drunk people generally fail that because they can't balance, they're tipsy, they can't think straight, they're slurring with their words. So you can definitely tell the difference between the two. But for those people here in the United States, they don't realize when they just take that drug test, well, what am I going to do? I'm not high right now. I smoked like 4 hours ago. But you're still going to have a dirty test even in 30 days because it takes 30 days to get out of your system. So I could have smoked weed for the first time at a party last week and got pulled over for the first time this week and go to jail for a drug test if he thinks I'm under the influence, you know? And that's where the ridiculousness comes into play. But we have been working on that quite a bit here in the United States, and that's what we've come up with. You can deny it, and they give you a ticket, and you just pay the ticket.
Here we're basically still under development in those type of ways, because it's obviously you have to have it in on a specific bag or child-proof with your name and prescription, safe bag, and safe something you can't obviously while you're driving. And if you get caught or pulled over by it, the consequences will be the same as like an illegal drug. We still have not that fine thing, and it's still being, like they.
Are you treating it as a DUI there, like which is like a drunk driver?
DUI are they actually do DUI, it's DUI, that's
right. But are they classifying cannabis like negative, like people who test positive for cannabis, are they classifying them under the same laws as the DUI, which is driving under the influence? And normally it would be alcohol, but they're also using it for marijuana because that's how it is here. And the only way to get the option to not drug test would be to decline the right, like decline, and then you get a ticket for declining, because normal people who are truly clean say, I don't care, drug test me if you want to, I'm clean, and they take it and they pet. People that have something to hide, sometimes they take it still and screw themselves. So this is a way not to screw yourself. You get a ticket, and you do get a ticket if you decline, but I'd rather $100 ticket than for it to be on my record, or for me to lose my license or get points on my driver's license and get a DUI, or for me to go to jail. But if you get caught smoking and driving, it's worse. Like you do get caught. It's the same as drinking and driving, and you're going to jail like Johnny on the spot. But there's no way to tell whether you're high or not, other than to drug test you. They can look at you, but you can generally really tell if a person was smoking while driving right now, or if they're just coming from somewhere where they got stoned at. You can tell the difference. But even then, you can tell the difference from liquor to cannabis because of the way that the person would act. But yeah, so it's crazy. As we go, you will see lots of new laws changing. I'm really waiting for the next 3 to 5 years to see when it'll be fully recreational across the map, and when we'll be able to have dispensaries deliver and do things across the map, not just where I live. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for. And when that day comes, I'll be super excited. And I'm waiting for the pharmaceutical company to accept it across the map. And those are the 3 big checkpoints that I'm really waiting for it to happen. And if it's recreational across the map, that would cross all your I's and dot all your T's with the tourist zones and so many other factors, that it's so much more work to just zone everything. Just lift the zones and just give us our pot. Free the pot. For real. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
In our marijuana card, cannabis cards, yeah, it says like it could be fined or exposed to any administrative actions. It actually goes. They don't specify because the law keeps changing, but we stay under. Try to do things the right way. So we can't let this opportunity go away because it's being such positive feedback from patient and the community wise as for health patient. So it's being taken consideration. Obviously, the recreational thing it's being told, but we don't have anything come through. We haven't, I don't know, nothing established still. So, but it's being looked at forward that we could have those green spot areas and be free for people to,
Totally agree. But until that day, we'll be here to keep on fighting and keep on spreading the word and to keep promoting every form of cannabis use and CBD use and the receptors that your body has, and your body is made for cannabis.
Yeah, I did it. 420 before actually from the 420 smoke room over here. So we could still spread the word and let people know that there's people interested and going and enforcing the movement and the right thing to do, so nobody or anybody gets affected by it. So we just positive out of it. Research takes time, but we're gonna achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going anywhere, so we might as well spend the time that it takes to get where we need, because I'll be honest, from 2015 till now, if you just look at the cannabis rules, laws, and regulations, we've come a long way in just a short time. 7 years feels like yesterday, and yet here we are. And the fight has gotten so enormous that we are multi-level legal in multiple states at this point. And in 2015, we were barely legal in barely anywhere, and we were just barely starting these processes. We were agreeing, but not sure what we actually agreed to, and had to start figuring out the ripple effect of all the laws and how we were going to work the system to work for everybody. So we've worked out so many kinks in the system in the last 7 years across the map that I'm truly proud of every state out there for their fighting cannabis. But if we give up now just because we've gotten a taste of legalization, it will not continue to expand. We must go on about what we want and fight for the continuance of those ripple effects, to band them out, fix them, and fix it all. And this is what we want. We must be pro for it, and only the people who are vocal will actually make the change for the rest of the people. So the more of us that get vocal, the more of us that share the word and spread the word, the more of us that sign petitions and write letters to our state senates or our federal government or whatever entity that is in your district that is regulating the cannabis use and laws, and votes and all of those things. I know that Texas and a couple other states run a little differently than the rest of our government system, but whatever those government systems are in those areas or your country, fight, because that's the only way we're going to continue to get it to where we're able to fully benefit long-term wise from it. We're able to take it everywhere with us. We're able to not worry. Who wants to worry about, if I wanted to go to Puerto Rico, I'm going to have to make sure I got bond money. It's $5,000 if I get caught. That's my whole trip right there. Yeah. Like, I want to smoke, and I want to be on the beach and be able to consume my marijuana on my vacation. I paid all this money to come here to enjoy myself, and part of enjoying myself is being pain-free and properly medicated. I shouldn't have to go without my medication to enjoy the beautiful scenery that you guys have to offer. And once it becomes legal, I and several hundred other people that probably feel the exact same way I feel, I'm scared to cross certain state lines because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my cannabis where over there. I need to learn what it is. Like, where am I going to go? And, if I'm going to, how much is it? And how, is it more than what it costs here? And, like, we all need to get on the same page is really what it is. And once we get to that level, that's when the fight's over because we're all on the same page. So that's when I feel we've won the battle. But until we're all on the same page, could we all be enjoying it? No, we can't. And we can't enjoy it on our travels, on our trips, or like, for instance, if you have a mom that lives across across the country and a couple states away, you've got to learn what you're doing before you do it. If you get caught driving that far with, 2 ounces of weed, how long is it? How many states will you get charged? The law is you'll get charged for every state you drove through. So if you drove through 10 states to get here, that's 10 different charges for 2 ounces of weed. You know what I mean? Like, who wants to take a trip?
People don't know that. And it happens.
No. And that's where the people think because it's legal that the fight is over. We won. Girls, sit down. Like, what are you doing? No, it's not over. It is far from over. It will not be over until we're all on the same page and we can travel freely with our medication. The same way you can take your prescription medications to your mother's house that's 5 states away and you can still take them. And you can even take them to the local pharmacy and refill them if you needed to. Like, we should have the same services with cannabis everywhere. I should be able to take my Michigan marijuana license into an Atlanta, Georgia pharmacy, dispensary, or into Oregon or Puerto Rico or anywhere. I gotta go get a license.
For a couple of days, if you're gonna be on the island, there's rumors, things that still haven't been checked. And there's like controversial but it's medical over here, so let's do step by dates are the guideline for it.
I definitely think that cities that are tourist in your area should become recreational first, because that's where the profit and the revenue is at its finest, is with the tourists, because the tourist will be able to utilize the recreational use in that city, district, or zone. And during those meetings, if you have an opportunity to attend like a Zoom or an online meeting where you can state your opinion, I would be very opinionated in those meetings if you could, because sometimes people don't think of the simplest way because they're looking at so many things in front of them and they're trying to make all ends work that they just don't realize the answer is in front of them. And the first answer would be starting with the districts, zones, or cities that are high tourist or along the edge of the water where tourist people come. And start with recreational there if you're not going to do it across the whole island. Start in districts or zones that have the most tourist and revenue and attractions. That's where it's going to be beneficial for the island because, and I'm not saying, I want it just for the tourists, forget the islanders. If it's not recreational for them, screw it. But that's where most of the revenue comes in, is the tourists. And most of the tourists right now aren't trying to take a tour there because we can't bring our medication. So at this point, that's actually doing a negative in the economic factor. It's giving it like a chunk of, it's taken away from it. So to bring that back and be back at a baseline or excel, you definitely need to open the door to tourists, because no one's going to spend $5,000 for their fine for smoking while being a tourist, when the amount of the trip itself isn't even going to cost us that. At this point, there's so many places that we can choose from where it is recreational legal. That's what we're going to do, and that's exactly what people are doing. Income tax time around United States is definitely travel time, where people take their tax return and book trips and take beautiful lavish cruises with their tax returns. And at this point, you're not seeing as much because of the cannabis. People want to go where they're allowed to consume their cannabis, and as without getting in legal trouble. And that's where they're seeing the tourist numbers are rising through the roof, because I can go, it's all, everything I need is in one spot. I can go to the beach, I can go to the bar, I can go to the casino, I can also get my bud.
Cannabis.
Right, and if I gotta travel an hour away or 2 hours away or take a boat to another island or whatever the scenario is, the hop, skip, and run to go get a bag of weed as a tourist, most of the time you're taught that it's not safe for you to leave a tourist zone area when you're in another country and you don't know where you are or what you're dealing with. So a lot of people fear traveling outside of the tourist zone or district to even get drugs or marijuana or cannabis or whatever you want to do that. So to have that at their disposal in the tourist zone or district would definitely maximize the potential of earnings for the tourist and for you guys actually, but it'll bring in the tourist being able to safely consume marijuana legally in that area and purchase it in that area with their out of country ID.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah. So I really want to follow what Puerto Rico has going on. So would you be interested in coming back on and giving us updates and following those stories that we discussed? So when we come back on, you could inform all of us of how is it going over there and what's going on?
It would be my focus. That's the whole idea. I want to take and learn as much as I can so I could spread. And as we're doing right now, I'm trying to attack new ideas or areas of the industry that haven't been thought or even the right mind or emphasized, like the tourism, for example. We still on diapers. It's quite. It's only.
But that's somewhere, because we're not even at that phase. We still got to make the diaper before we can even put that boy on. So you are farther ahead than us, so I definitely commend you guys on that, and I definitely am going to stay tuned in and follow. So my question for you is, through your seizures, your epilepsy, your all of your different cannabis jobs you found along the way, and all of the education you've accumulated on cannabis and the genetics of it, who's been your support system through all of this and really encouraged you to move forward with this plan of yours and to go for it?
So, okay, actually, that illness was myself and seeing the positive effects of cannabis and the way that people respond to treatment, and that's why it encouraged me or give me that extra push to keep on going, because I know that it's values.
Did someone support you in your decisions or give you the words of encouragement or helped you through it that you would want to give a thanks to, perhaps? I don't know if you have a wife or a mom or someone who's just really been there for you through these, who would help you in the hospital, who would, you can call on them for anything.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, my mom's been in general, all the grows like Anani, like Live Factory, we have a lot of them that are already giving the extra mile and trying to work. And that's why we come here, because we all support each other in some way, but we're trying to like let's put it this way, try to let people see that they got support from a lot. For example, and now of course the support we can have is limited of sort, but for example, we need more awareness of what we are and what we are gonna be or want to be, and that need more like you the opportunity of being in this channel, you might and talking about some things that I'm aware of or are not spoken quite often. That's what give me that extra, because I want the people to know all aspects of cannabis, like wise thing. So for me, it's more everything. It's like breeding, and I support and get from the whole community actually. If it's we can say everyone for the patient. So if I would say myself, I'll be like, well, giving me or giving this, not, but we try to put it like we're working for the same as health.
Okay. What would you say to someone who is in the cannabis community and trying to bring awareness to it, but they're ready to give up, or they're dealing with epilepsy and they're ready to give up? What would you say to encourage them not to give up?
For me, giving up and or no is they don't exist. Like, let's put it that way. And you give up, you just gave up. You don't want to keep going. You need to try. If you don't try, you're not gonna know. You don't think that could happen. If you don't know. So I always say that you need to have this positive mindset, because positive things attract positive effect. So people should always try to see the right side of things and put themselves in other people's shoes. So try to get informed and just life or any illnesses or anything, always something. If it has a solution, it's not a problem. It's something that you can't fix, and you get going, and that's it. Because you're now, or you did why didn't you? Because you got tired. But why? Because someone told you can't do it. You have to try, right? And you can do it. Did the best you can. If not, you will continue to be positive, and that of positivity and waking up in the morning and being grateful for what you have or whatever. It's something that everyone should take into consideration. That positive and there. Try and don't judge, don't criticize without knowing, get informed, and just do it. And believe in yourself. So you have to thank yourself for working hard. You have to thank yourself for all that time. Because, time can't be bought. Health can't be bought. Many things that money can't handle. So it depends on each one of us to keep going. We could at some sort rely on something or someone, but the major step forward up to you. But just like I have to say some, put it that way. But that mindset is hope. Hope of the word. Never lose faith and hope. And everything. Everything.
I totally agree. Staying positive and keep your faith and hope, and never giving up, keep it going forward. Don't have fear. Like you said, everything you said is on the money. It's perfect, and that is absolutely right. So for anyone out there who is struggling, with trying to bring awareness to their causes or fight their medical issues, definitely don't give up. Keep going. Keep pushing. You are your biggest supporter, for sure. I appreciate you tuning in to the 420 Smoke Room, and in the future we'll do some more updates with him from Delta 8 genetic expert Jen, or how do I say it? It's Jan, like Jan?
Jan, yeah.
Jan Raphael. Okay, so yes, he's Delta 9 genetic expert, and he's also Raphael Diamond Creations on Facebook, so definitely shoot over there and follow him. And his Facebook username is Jan Raphael as well. And I will include some links for those of you who are on some other platforms and viewing this. I'll include some links to his groups on Facebook and his page, so you guys can continue to follow his journey, support him and his causes. And when he comes back, you guys will know exactly what's going on in Puerto Rico with the laws, the changes. Hopefully the pharmaceutical company and the tourists make some changes over there to where it'll better help the island. Puerto Rico is definitely getting advanced with some of their cannabis rules and laws and regulations, and I want to follow. So I appreciate you guys coming on and joining, and I appreciate everyone who tuned in and listened tonight. Anybody who is listening on Relevant or who is following us on Relevant, we just had an update, so definitely re-update your phone. Android and iPhone users, we just did another update where you can do videos, you can request to be in different types of groups now. There's a couple other features that I'm not really fully sure yet because I haven't had the time to play around with it yet. But definitely re-update your app, and if you're not sure how, you can uninstall it and then reinstall it, and all the good updates will automatically be present. Or there's a way to double click on the app and it says app info on your phone, and then you click that and you can do stop it, uninstall, or update. Sometimes there's an update option that way. If not, again, uninstall and reinstall is always the quickest and easiest way possible, in my personal opinion. So definitely, plus we have a giveaway that's going on right now. We have 103 members finally over there in the Vibe. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but we just started the Vibe on Relevant and started working with them, and they're an awesome platform. So we have a $100 giveaway that we were supposed to actually call a winner for already, but I had some personal things taking place, and I plan on calling a winner, I believe tomorrow is when I'm supposed to be doing it now. But definitely go over there and enter, and if you do enter before we pick a winner, you'll automatically be entered as a chance to win $100. And so have you. You've been entered, Jan, as well into our giveaway, so hopefully you win. Someone's going to be winning $100.
Exactly. So all the people here in Puerto Rico, all the community that has supported us and supports us, still thanks you too, my behalf, for and we will keep on going and spreading the word, and hopefully we'll be here, more information and think through everything, so we can just and that's
For For sure. I'm super excited to see what the future holds for the both of us, and as we continue this journey to explore what Puerto Rico has going on. So, all right, until next time, everyone,